This time on Bunny Revivals, it is a complete 2-month thrash to get this 1985 Square Body Chevy ready for Hot Rod Power Tour. Alright, we're just about ready to yank the motor out. Pretty much did all the pre-game stuff. I feel like I said that in the last time we did this, but it's because we did. Really didn't show much of it just because been there, done that. It's in the other video if you want to go check that one out. That one's somewhere up here. But yeah, so it's pretty much ready to come out. We're actually going to be taking it over to Joe's, and we're going to degree our new cam and all that stuff right over there. We're going to drop our cylinder heads on, and we're also going to plop the intake manifold on as well. And yeah, so it'll pretty much be ready to kind of go. It'll come back, and all we'll have to do is pretty much assemble it the rest of the way. And yeah, but as of right now, we're gonna yank this thing out. It's already done. Motor mount bolts are out. Torque converter bolts are out. Bell housing bolts are out. Everything's disconnected. Radiator's out. Distributor's out. All the stuff that you would normally go through in order to pull one of these out. We already went ahead and did it. And now it's time to yank this thing, and let's give her some more horsepowers. All right, easy. Yep. You got more out in you. I think she's a little stuck at it.
I think we got like a
rock or something.
Some sort of wedge effect going on here.
Oh,
okay. Ah, yeah, we smashed her in the front. Yeah, that's how we do it around here, folks. Just smash her in the front. Kids, turn your ears off.
Back door's only on Thursday nights, you know what I'm saying?
Turn your ears off, kids. Mute it down. We'll have to go up a little bit higher. Bring her yonder a bit.
Just a skosh. Yeah, just smash that bracket. We don't need that one anyway. Oh, look at that. It was perfect clearance.
Convenient.
Okay. We're gonna run out of roomy now. Well, here she is, back out, alive and well, and it's gonna get a lot better. So basically at this point we're gonna be stripping down, taking it right down to a short block, as I said earlier. Cylinder heads are coming off. We're getting rid of these swirl port heads. We're also taking our Speedmaster dual plane air gap intake manifold back off. Unfortunately, we're gonna have a little bit of a downgrade on the intake manifold. We're going from an air gap to a high rise. Basically, picture Edelbrock RPM. That's pretty much what we're going with, that Summit intake that we did a review on. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at on this. Also, while the engine's out, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of work inside the engine bay, cleaning it up, painting it, probably paint the front part of the frame while we're in there. We also noticed too, we have a motor mount that's kind of so probably order up new motor mounts. The Turbo 400 and that NP208 that we put in a year ago, that's dropping back out. Or we're going to be getting our 700R4 back. That is fully built. That tranny is going to be insane. We're going to have a video coming out on that too. Huge thank you to John for putting that together for us with his own personal business and rebuilding trannies. That is going to be one wicked build. I can't wait to show you guys that one. But for right now, let's get to tearing down our budget build 350. Intake manifold removed.
Oh, we see innards. There is innards.
Sure, we'll just put you there for now.
You're stuck on the dowel. Pick it up straight. Pick it up straight.
I'm trying to pick it up straight.
There it goes.
Here on this one, you can see that it's 30 over. That's actually gonna be your part number. They're not a flat top like I was hoping they were. I mean, they're close. It's a nice piston. It's definitely not nearly as bad as what you guys are going to see on the small block that's under that bag. But yeah, these are definitely workable. It's going to help us with compression a little bit. We'll be able to run a lower octane fuel in it, so I don't have to worry about spending too much money on gas. But like, I don't care about spending money on fuel. I want to make horsepower, and kind of going to hurt us a little bit on the horsepower numbers, just because it's not going to make as much compression. But hey, you know, 350 to 375, probably going to be a much more accurate number. I was really hoping these were flat tops. We thought they were, because if they were and the compression was, you know, up there, probably would have been well into the 9s for a compression ratio. But it's going to be a healthy combo, so I'll be happy with it, and I'll live with it. But yeah, I guess the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pull off our water pump. We're going to label all of these, and then we'll just keep tearing it down, because and like I said, mostly with the rock or with your push rods. I will say that I would argue that they are as important as your hydraulic flat tappet lifters and also your cam, because the actual tips actually wear to the bottom side of your rockers. If you're not going to reuse the stock rockers, really don't have to worry about it too much if you're going with a roller rocker setup.
They will wear to the top of the lifters.
Well, exactly.
The lifter buckets.
Yeah. So that's kind of important. What I really wanted to put a lot of preference on is when you have a hydraulic flat tappet cam and you plan on reusing it in a certain application, make sure that each hydraulic flat tappet lifter goes back to the exact lobe that it's mated to. When you go to break these in, it's kind of why a lot of people are scared to do hydraulic flat tappets nowadays, is because they're so afraid of the break-in process. Because basically you actually have to mate the bottom surface of the lifter to the lobe of the camshaft. So once you mate them together, they're kind of bonded. So if you take your hydraulic flat tappet lifter and then try throwing it on a different cam lobe, you can potentially, and most likely will, wipe out that cam lobe, because that the bottom of that hydraulic flat tappet lifter is not,
Or the lifter.
You can wipe out the lifter too. It's probably more likely to wipe out a cam lobe than it is the lifter, I would have to argue.
I've seen it both ways. I've seen lifters wore the point that they're mushroomed so bad you can't get them out of the bore, and they actually they make slide hammer lifter pullers, and usually if you got to use one of them, you got a problem with your lifters that you know, they just got beat up hard.
Yep. But so basically what we're going to do now is we're going to take the time. Like I said, we do plan on reusing at least the cam and lifter set out of this engine to dump it in something else. It's nothing crazy, obviously, which is the reason why it's coming out of this engine in the first place. But we're going to take the time, we're going to label everything so we can reuse it down the line. We're also going to do our push rods too, because there's a good chance that those cylinder heads, they're a perfectly good usable set of cylinder heads if you're looking to throw something together. You could throw the whole combo on another 350 and have a completely running 350. So let's do our best. Let's label everything up and get it bagged and tagged. One other thing that we didn't mention before is how one of these hydraulic flat tappet actually work. We were talking about that bottom surface that actually rides on the cam lobe. That's what you're currently looking at here. It actually spins on it. Another thing too that's kind of cool is they're called a hydraulic flat tappet. Hydraulic because there's little oil passages in here. The oil actually will flow through here, and that's what actually pumps up. What would that even technically be called, the front part? Is it the cup?
Like the lifter bucket.
Okay, the lifter bucket. I know that's like, it's kind of the cup, I think it's been referred to before.
Yeah, it's like in a cylinder is almost like a hydraulic cylinder.
Yeah, so basically oil passes through this hole and actually pumps up this part here, which then also basically takes up your lash within the push rod. But just to prove that, if you squeeze it, you actually see oil come out of it. because of the oil passages in it. Just something really cool I figured I'd throw in, just a little tidbit there. Hydraulic flat tappet cam here that we just pulled out of our budget build small block here. And one of the things I wanted to go over with you guys, I mentioned it before in our Vortec 350 video about how a hydraulic flat tappet cam works with a mechanical fuel pump. And we're actually, if you look at our cam here, you have all your regular lobes. These are going to be your intake and exhaust lobes. And then your drive gear is back here for your distributor. If you look all the way up here at this very first lobe, notice how it doesn't look like teardrop shaped like these ones. This is the actual lobe that actually runs your mechanical fuel pump. As the cam is spinning within the engine, if you notice, the one side is actually thicker than the other. And there is a rod that goes in through the side of your block over here where your mechanical fuel pump mounts. It'll actually go up in. Where the end of this actual rod goes is up against that lobe. And every time the cam spins, you have your thicker end and your thinner end. It'll actually press this rod in and out, which then actually actuates your mechanical fuel pump here. So this rod will actually push off of that lobe up against that, which actually actuates your fuel pump. I actually just wanted to show you guys that visually, because I know I've mentioned it before, but figured I'd throw that in there. A little too far ahead of myself, but Turbo 400 and B208 are now out of the truck, so cool beans. Okay, it's another day. Rolled the square body outside. The reason why is we're gonna degrease and clean up the engine bay. It's something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So we're actually gonna spray all that down, degrease it, clean it. We're also gonna paint it. I had the heater core, had to swap the heater core out of it a while ago because it leaked, and I kind of like half sprayed it there, but we're gonna do the whole engine bay gloss black. Oliver's currently in there right now scraping grease. You're doing a great job, bud.
Thanks.
Doing a great job. But yeah, so we're gonna scrub all that up, and then we're gonna paint it. So we got new motor mounts because that one's kind of shot, or was it that one? It's one of them, but we got brand new ones. So I'm gonna drop motor mounts out of it. We're gonna get this thing sprayed up, cleaned up, degreased, and then we're just gonna spray it all, paint it black like the Rolling Stones say. But at this point, we did a good, pretty decent job scraping it up, and I've just been going in there and just doing one of these. I can believe it, but it's raining outside. But we got her degreased down pretty good, scrubbed it up with actual brushes. Now I'm going over and pressure washing it. Hopefully it'll clean up pretty good. But of course, I just had to choose a day in which it decided to rain. Okay, so at this point we got the truck back in the shop. Pretty much spent the last 2 hours getting absolutely drenched, running around just trying to clean stuff up. We got the Turbo 400 and that MP208 out of the shop. I had to use a tractor. A whole bunch of stuff that you don't care about, but I got it just... Why does everything take forever is what I want to know. But anyways, engine bay is washed out. We degreased it. It's all sprayed down. We're going to get in here with the air hose now. We're going to blow all the water off. We're gonna dry it up. We're gonna scuff it all down. I have to pull some of the wiring and stuff away from the firewall. And then pretty much we're just gonna go to town. I'm gonna get in there with some, we're gonna do semi-gloss black on like the frame, the motor mount pads, and all that kind of stuff. And then the rest of the engine bay, like the firewall and the inner fenders and stuff, that's all gonna be gloss black. Well, here she is. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it gets the job done. Honestly, I just wanted to clean it up, make it look a little better. It looks a heck of a lot better than it did before. And I really don't, if I'm being 100% honest with this thing, I lack patience when it comes to prep work. And, but it's good enough. It's perfect. So we have our 700R4 tranny back from the shop. just got rebuilt. It's fresh. I mean, literally just about every single thing inside this tranny internally was gone over and pretty much replaced. So basically, and we went like full max build. Originally started out as it was going to be like a max, like just a performance build, and then I just said, fester cash, and just we're going to make it like top notch. Some of the upgrades that we actually did to it. There's a Transgo shift kit in it, Sonic's boost valve, the Corvette servo. There actually is Red Eagle friction clutches in this, which are supposed to be like top-notch clutches that you can actually get. There's actually the bigger Sonic's pump in this. I think originally, I think originally this was a 12 vein pump, and I think there's a 13 or 14 vein pump in it now, so it's going to be solid. And honestly, this is arguably going to probably be one of the best parts of the truck. I mean, yeah, the engine's going to be cool, but this tranny is going to live in this truck for the rest of its life. So I'm really, really excited about that, and it pretty much has all the upgrades. Plus, it is the K case, which is supposed to be the stouter case. Also, the torque converter on the front of it. It looks like a stock converter, but it's actually a 2000 stall converter. Something really cool that we actually found out. I think it was actually Joe over at the machine shop that actually did some of the research for us and found it out. But in certain applications from GM, from the factory, they actually had different stock stalls. So basically what we ended up doing, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually a stall converter. The application is for a 4.3 liter V6 that would go behind, that 700R4 would go behind. So we pretty much ended up putting a different stall converter in it. It's a 2000 stall. That should be perfect. In fourth gear, we're predicting this truck to run down the highway and probably run somewhere between 22 to 2400 RPM, around 70, 75 miles an hour, which is perfect. This truck with the Turbo 400 that was in it, trying to run 70, 75 miles an hour down the highway, the truck would run somewhere between 27 to 2900 RPM, which was, I mean, you were pushing it pretty hard, and the fuel consumption was through the roof. So that's pretty much the big reason why I wanted it back in the truck. Plus the 700R4 with the 4-speed, the truck came from the factory with a 700R4 in it. So it's kind of a cool upgrade, and I'm very, very content and very happy with it. We also have our NP208 mounted to the back of it. This NP208 was actually off of the 700R4 that was blown up, that was originally in this truck when I bought it, that we dropped out of it last year and traded the Turbo 400 for it. We put a new front and rear seal in it, so it's sealed up, it's ready to go, and at this point it's pretty much get the whole shindig in the truck and get it ready too. Another thing I do want to go over quick too, I guess it's worth mentioning, I don't know if you remember, if you haven't seen the video last year when we put the Turbo 400 and that NP208 in this truck along with the motor, go check that video out. It's going to be right here. The reason why I'm mentioning it is because there's a lot of little tidbits of information, like this cross member is actually different from the old cross member. This one actually has the loop in it, where kind of the design, it kind of comes down, and then back up, where the actual mount is for the transfer case, as the other one actually kind of just is flat and it drops. Another thing too is the bolt holes are actually different. We actually had to drill holes on the frame of the truck in order to get the cross member to actually fit. But the original holes are still there, and this is the cross member that dropped out of this truck a year ago. So it's all going to bolt right back up, right back in, and it should be pretty good. So I'm super excited to get this whole thing back in the truck. So that's what we're going to do next. Well, just about have our NP208 and our 700R4 transmission tucked back into the truck. As we were talking about before, we had to move our bolts back to the center two bolts instead of the outer two bolts, as this cross member fits up with the two center bolts as our other cross member off the Turbo 400 and that NP208 took those outer ones. These are the ones that we drilled last year, but she's in there. And of course, because I can't do nothing right, we Dad, you're gonna be mad again, but we had a little bit of a triple homicide underneath the truck. Filled up the transfer case with fluid, and apparently I filled it up a little bit too much. But it is a true fact that you will indeed have that on these jobs with the larger proportions, and we're making progress, and we're getting a little bit closer to getting this thing back together. Figured I'd just throw this in here quick. We have all of our pulleys and brackets for our front accessory drive sprayed up, painted black. And you're probably wondering why are like some of these pulleys getting repainted and whatnot. We're actually switching off of the serpentine setup to a V-belt setup. Half of you just went hooray, half of you just went why. That's kind of silly. And ultimately the reasoning why there is because, as you guys know, this truck was set up with a serpentine setup. It had what they call the horseshoe setup, where basically it's like this one big piece of like metal, and it actually, the whole thing bolts to the front of the engine, and all your accessories bolt onto that one piece that looks like the horseshoe. The problem that we had was any of the actual brackets last time that we had. There's brackets that come off, I believe, the alternator, your idler pulley, and a few other areas too. I think there's one for the power steering pump, and the AC compressor, which it is an AC truck. We're not running AC. I'm not putting an AC compressor back on it, but all of them had little individual metal brackets that attached to the intake manifold to kind of hold that metal plate in place. And basically what actually ended up happening was none of them actually worked or fit. So for the time to get the truck together and running, I did the incorrect thing and just said, that plate will be fine. And if you watch that run in that initial video, you just see the whole plate doing this the whole time. So we're trying to find a solution to that because that doesn't last. They're prone to cracking and whatnot. So the whole reason why we're moving away from that one, I love the serpentine setup. It's super, super easy. But honestly, what it came down to was money and time. I had all the V-belt setup stuff from the last engine that was in that truck, the original 350. So I just said we're going to repaint all the V-belt stuff and use it. So that's what we're doing, and that's why we're painting it. But we're going to let all this stuff dry, and then we'll reassemble it eventually. Went and got ourselves a new battery box. That was actually a car aisle pickup. So that's nice. Got that all cleaned up and painted. That's going to be a big upgrade over the one that we have. Also have our drive shafts here. We sprayed them up. Might as well, right, while we're here. Also got a rear pinion out of the back axle. Some of you that have watched our video where we welded up an exhaust and put some U-joints in this truck in that back drive shaft, you'll know that that was actually leaking. So we actually have a speedy sleeve for the back of this, and we also have a new seal, so that should hopefully end that problem. And oh yeah, forgot, tranny and transfer case, they're full blown in there. New motor mounts are in. So if you'd like to see the engine build portion of this video, go ahead and check out the link. I'll leave it right over here. The reason why I didn't put it in this video was just because there was so much, and well, let's be honest, she deserves all the attention and glory. So we're gonna be moving on to getting this bad boy back in the truck. If you wanna go check out the engine build video so you know what actually fully transpired here, again, somewhere in there. I promise, I'll put it there. I'm getting better with the finger pointing thing too. You like that? All right, cool. But anyways, let's get this thing ready. Let's toss her back in the truck. So what we're doing here is we are getting ready to put our water pump on. Since we are converting this back to a V-belt water pump, we actually had to get the water pump that spun in a different direction. I had one laying around that came off our another engine that I had, but I didn't want to reuse that one because you could tell someone was in there and doing stuff to that one before. Didn't know if it leaked or whatnot. But basically, this is a brand new one. I think this one was only like 30 bucks, so we're gonna go with this guy. What I'm doing here is I'm taking a little bit of RTV and I'm smearing it all over the coolant passages. I did the back side of the gaskets, and that's why the gaskets are stuck to the actual block. And then we're doing the front side too to hopefully ensure sealage here. The key is you don't wanna go too crazy on the RTV. You see a lot of guys with the RTV when they do water pumps, it's just like splattered all over the place. If you have enough to cover the surface area of everything, that should be plenty. So there's that. And now we got to go ahead and make sure it's in the correct orientation. We have our bolts here. Actually, give me a minute because my hands are covered. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get ready to put on our water pump. So we gotta try to do a decent job here of lining up the bolt holes. All right, and this last top one. A little difficult to feel that one out. Okay, I think they're all good. Go over them one more time. Square Body Chevy update. Everything just took a long time today. Honestly, getting the engine back in, getting the dowel pins back in, getting our motor mounts back in too. That one fought me just tooth and nail, and that took a lot of time, but it's in there. Headers are fully attached. A little quick upgrade that I got for you guys that I think you guys are gonna think is really cool. If you notice, this is a much bigger radiator than was currently in it. The one that was in it was this teensy tiny one back here. I mean, you could tell just by the thickness of it. It was tiny. Like, yeah, it was a very small rad. Someone had this truck blown apart before I got it, and had the small one in it. I found this one in a 6.2 diesel boneyard truck. Basically immediately snagged it just because it's the oversized 4-core, absolutely gigantic radiator. It's gonna be awesome when we're in the middle of, you know, downtown Memphis or Nashville. Sitting in traffic, it's going to be such a huge upgrade just because of that oversized rad. So that is just awesome. Difference though, some of these rads, what was different on these 4-cores, these holes here are actually for your tranny lines. So we're gonna have to run our new tranny lines for our 700 R4. We're gonna have to find out where we wanna run them. But besides that, yeah, a lot of the other stuff that we're fighting too is getting our V-belt set up, and then we're just finishing up some wiring. We have yet to throw the distributor in. We have to set the engine back to TDC. It was set when we brought it back from Joe's, but putting the torque converter bolts in, I actually did spin it over, tightening those bolts. Yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, everything else is pretty much there, and hopefully we will be getting ready to fire this thing up for the very first time. Honestly, the moment that thing fires up for the first time, comes to life, we get that cam, you know, broken. Hopefully everything goes smoothly with that. Get the cam broken, and man, it is just, it's been a long fought battle, tooth and nail over the past. I mean, we literally ripped this thing out, the motor out of this truck and the tranny and everything. That was like April 1st. And we're a few days into May now. I think it's like May 6th or 7th at the time when you're seeing my face in this part of the video. So, I mean, the days are counting down. We have a very limited amount of time until this thing needs to be ready for 3,000 miles in Hot Rod Power Tour 2022. But we're going to make it, baby. Come hell or high water, we're going to be there. Plumbing some stuff up here. We got our rad in. Fan is officially in. Alternator somewhat in there. We have to drop in our distributor yet. All that stuff. One of the things I wanted to go over, and I mentioned it before, the old rad had your lines here, but something else that we want to talk about too is the trans cooler. That's the original one that was in the truck. We're gonna throw this one in it, and some of you guys are gonna be a little hurt. Can I see it? Oh no, that's on the back side. This is actually a Ford trans cooler. Shh, don't tell nobody. So anyways, yes, your bottom line runs out, is your hot. It goes out. We run that to the rad first, trickles down through the rad, then goes into your trans cooler to cool down the fluid as much as possible. And then it comes back through your top line here and goes back through and recircles itself around the trans. So just a little bit of tidbit information there that I thought was kind of important to make it all kind of happen, because I did not know that until now, and we're always learning something new. What are you on about? No, goofing. Boots. Hole, bud. Can he get it right in the hole?
Should I drop the light? Drop the light?
drop the light. Drop it in there. Drop it in there.
Stick it in a hole.
I can't get that far, Jake. Can you see all the way down the bottom? Can you see the little?
There's a little gear. That's basically the. Yep.
There's a little slut down there.
A little slut.
Where I am right here.
There's a little slut down there. Man, that accent's really gets you going in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
You want I want it to be clocked to where the front of my screwdriver is.
Okay,
right
so you need to go that way.
So stick this down in there.
No, you shouldn't trust me with this, Joe.
Stick the driver
in there.
Stick it in that slot and turn it so it's facing this way.
Sure, my bad. You know, it would be really nice to show that creeper.
You look good over there, bud. Keep her going. Keep her, yeah, right on. on the fender, just crushing your left testicle. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Your drinkers are liking that AC
Daddy,
unit.
Daddy, I lost my hat. Hope your head wasn't in it.
There's a little slot in there.
Your new name's Bessie Girl right now.
Bessie Girl, right?
Rob will change that later. You're gonna run it. You're gonna run strong, firm.
You have no idea how nervous I am right now. I'm hoping it lights off and it just runs like a freaking bat out of hell.
Yeah, boys. Yeah.
Cheers.
Get her. Get her. Get her. Get
Hey,
her.
Rob.
All right, where are we
Get her
at?
running.
Hey, Rob. Christener.
Come on, baby girl. No. There should be an outlet. Right.
Rob, what take is this?
Is that a 0?
Take number one.
Number 1.
No, I'm talking the button right here.
Get on in there, Captain.
Yeah, I believe that's the way
The
it works.
anxiety that's built up.
Bessie Girl gonna run, don't worry.
All right. We going for it?
You're firing the training fluid in
Yep.
it? Okay.
Did you
I gave
hit
her.
the accelerator? So just hit the key. Don't pump it.
Yeah, she should have fuel
You
now.
should fire off. Okay.
Hit it. My pants are moist! Yeah! Now I need to be 100% honest with you all right here. I had major anxiety going into this cam break-in just because I know how scary it is to break in a hydraulic flat tappet nowadays with the lack of good oil. But through extensive conversations with Joe, he actually set me up with a really, really awesome break-in oil, and it went smoother than butter. It was awesome. And I wanted to say too that like it was such a long, hard-fought weekend of trying to get this thing back together and to get it up and running for the very first time. And I have to give a huge thank you to my dad, a huge thank you to Joe, and a huge thank you to Jake for really busting their tails. I mean, that truck literally lit off and fired up for the first time at 1 o'clock Monday morning. Not even joking. We probably made some neighbors upset, but hey, maybe instead of getting your panties up in a bunch, grab a beer and swing over and hang out and enjoy the show. I mean, you know, I think it might be a regular thing that we do now, cam break-in parties. But no, this was a huge moment. You know, we're busting our tails. You know, every single one of us guys out here, we're regular 9-to-5 guys, you know, just like probably most of you that are watching this. And it just kind of goes to show, you know, with determination and heart and dedication to what you love and what you do, you know, all this is possible. And nothing excites me more than, you know, you get to hit the key for the very first time and a thing fires up and comes to life, and that truck just sounds nasty and it's awesome. But hey, our work is not done yet. We still got a lot more to do. Let's not celebrate too early now. But yeah, we have a long way to go. But this was such a huge step, and I just want to take a moment to highlight that. Well, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, because in the next video, the Square Body runs for the first time.